Happy day, friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Kristen, and today we are talking about the books that I read in February. February was a pretty good reading month. I finished 6 books in February, but I'm only going to be talking about 5 today because the 6th one was in my last video. So if you want to hear about that, check it out there. Anyways, out of the 5 books I read, I didn't give anything below a 4-star rating, so it was a really good month in February. And honestly, I read a lot more than I have been averaging each month, which is great, but you know, I really don't have any goal. I'm kind of just going with the flow, I guess. But anyways, let's get started talking about the books I read this month. So the first book I read this month was I Captured the Castle by Dodie Smith. This book is basically like a girl's diary, and it's really interesting because throughout the story you watch as she grows from being a child to more of this more mature woman who's kind of found herself. It's really interesting. In fact, I would say it's a slightly gothic Anne of Green Gables, I guess. And in fact, it does read a little bit like a gothic novel in the fact that the language is a little bit more aged. I don't know how to describe it. A little bit more sophisticated, I guess. And it just has like literary classic vibes to it, which makes sense because it's an old book. But it was so sweet. It has a romance in it, which is okay. The whole point of the book though is not about romance. It's about a bildungsroman, a girl coming into who she is in the world. And those are my favorite kind of stories, and I really do love stories that are kind of written like journals. It just felt so, I felt so connected to the character. So yeah, it was really good. And I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I read was Vladimir by Julia May Jonas. This literary fiction book I got from Book of the Month, and it's kind of just general fiction, although I think the cover definitely wants to make you think it's erotica or something. It was great. So it follows our main character, who is a English professor in this pretty like elite, private, distinguished college. And it follows her like kind of crippling obsession with this new professor, Vladimir, okay? And she's in an open relationship with her husband. So there's this kind of scandal going on with her husband at the time, and she's processing the scandal, she's processing her obsession with Vladimir, as well as just processing the fact that she is getting older. And she's trying to do everything to stop the process of aging. And she's a writer, which I love stories about writers. I think it kind of stems from my desire to write as well and to see myself as a writer. So overall, I thought it was wonderfully written. I thought the ending was my favorite. It's not what you expect at all. It's so realistic. I'm sure other people feel differently, but I don't care. I loved the realistic ending. So yeah, I want to talk to other people about this book too. Like, I feel like I haven't heard many people talk about it. So if you end up reading it, like, please share your thoughts with me on Instagram because I'm very curious what you think. The next book I read this month, I can't talk about because it is our pick for the Top Shelf Society. But what I will say is that I listened to the audiobook version of it, and it's a story about love and longing. It's a historical fiction book that follows this guy named Hector and his search to kind of be reunited with his lost love, Valerie. And to get close to her, he starts courting her husband's cousin, Antonina. And then it kind of just goes from there. And I thought it was Well, what did I think about it? Find out in our live show this Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Listened to another audiobook all in one day while I was cleaning the house, which is appropriate because the audiobook I listened to was Made by Stephanie Land. And I know that Made is a book that has been turned into like a TV show on Netflix or whatever. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It follows the story of Stephanie throughout kind of the start of her poverty and then how she gets out of it. So she gets out of it by working as a maid at first in some different companies before then starting her own self-employed business as a maid. And while she does it all, she is a single mother battling for, basic human rights in America as a poor person. I really enjoyed how it talks about kind of the perceptions people had of her because of her poverty. I liked that it was really honest and unflinching about that. I thought it was really enlightening, and overall I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it, I think 4 stars. And then the last book I finished off the month with in honor of the approaching spring is Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Right? Yes, Ellen Montgomery. I love these books. I've read the whole series once. I've read Anne of Green Gables in particular, probably this is the 3rd time now. There is nothing like these books for me. They are wholesome and wonderful and perfect. I love the part when Anne is a child, and I love the ending as she's getting older. I didn't cry this time at the end, so that was an achievement for me. And I mean, what else can I say? Anne of Green Gables is like in the top 3 of my favorite books of all time. I think of it as like a truly defining book for me as a person. I don't know what else to tell you. I love it. So glad I read it. It was phenomenal. And there you go. Those are the books that I read this February. I would love to know what books you read, so definitely hit me up with those in the comments below. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.